Fire exploded around Sophia's head as she sat in her wheelchair. Victoria, our HOA president, shot her flare gun 12 times at my disabled daughter. Blood covered Sophia's face. Now in the hospital, tubes keeping her alive, Sophia whispered, "Dad, let's make her pay." Before watching full story, comment below from where you watching. Also like and subscribe for more Karen stories. Get that disgusting eyesore off my street or I'll remove it myself. The shrill voice shattered our peaceful morning as Victoria Harmon stormed onto our property, her face twisted with rage. She was pointing at the colorful mosaic my daughter Sophia had created on our mailbox, a small splash of joy that had brightened our corner of the neighborhood for just 3 days. "The mailbox meets postal regulations," I said, stepping between Victoria and my 17-year-old daughter, who sat frozen in her wheelchair. "It violates HOA aesthetic codes." Victoria thrust a clipboard in my face. Section 8, Paragraph 12, "No decorations that detract from neighborhood visual harmony." She looked past me at Sophia with pure contempt. "Being disabled doesn't exempt you from following rules." Victoria Harmon, our Homeowners Association president and neighborhood terror. Everyone called her the inspector behind her back, but never to her face. She had already forced 2 families to move out through endless fines and harassment. Sophia's hands trembled in her lap. "I just wanted to make something beautiful," she whispered. I rushed outside to find Victoria standing at the edge of our lawn, pointing at the small art studio I had built for Sophia's birthday last month. It was a simple wooden structure next to our garage where Sophia could work on her art projects without struggling with stairs or narrow doorways. "Tear it down by tomorrow or the fines start at $500 per day, Victoria said coldly, snapping photos with her phone. "We submitted all the required paperwork," I protested, showing her the approval forms on my phone. "The board approved this 3 months ago." Victoria's eyes narrowed. "Well, I didn't approve it. And as president, I have final say." Sophia wheeled herself forward. "Please, Mrs. Harmon. This studio means everything to me. I've already started working on pieces for my college application." Victoria looked at Sophia with cold eyes. "Rules are rules. Just because you're in that chair doesn't mean you get special treatment." The cruelty of her words hit like a physical blow. Sophia's face crumpled, and she wheeled herself back inside without another word. "You have 48 hours to tear it down, or there will be consequences," Victoria said before marching away. That night, I held Sophia as she cried herself to sleep. "Why does she hate me so much, Dad?" she asked. I had no answer. The next morning, I gathered evidence of our approved paperwork and headed to speak with other HOA board members. Most were sympathetic but afraid to challenge Victoria. She had been ruthless in finding reasons to fine those who opposed her. When I returned home, I found Sophia staring out the window, her sketchbook untouched. "She's out there taking pictures of the studio," Sophia whispered. I watched as Victoria circled our property, documenting the violation from every angle. When she spotted us watching, she smiled and waved her camera mockingly. That night, I made a decision. I wouldn't tear down Sophia's studio. I would fight. I started by creating a neighborhood petition. Many neighbors signed it, sharing their own stories of Victoria's tyranny, from fining an elderly couple for planting unauthorized roses to threatening a single mother for having a basketball hoop. 2 days later, Victoria returned with an official-looking document. "This is your first fine," she announced, slapping the paper into my hand. $200 per day until the structure is removed." "This is harassment," I said firmly. "The studio was approved. I have documentation." Victoria's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Documentation can be lost. Files can be changed." Victoria snatched the phone from my hand and smashed it on the ground. "You'll regret crossing me," she hissed before storming to her car. That evening, I found Sophia in her studio, tears streaming down her face as she covered her half-finished mural with white paint. "Honey, don't let her win," I pleaded. "What's the point?" Sophia whispered. "She'll just keep coming after us." The next day, I discovered something interesting while talking to Mrs. Chin, who lived across from the community center. Victoria had converted the HOA office into a personal workspace where she ran her online business, a clear violation of HOA rules about commercial activities. When I presented this information to other board members, they finally agreed to call an emergency meeting. Victoria was furious when she received the notice. That afternoon, while Sophia was at physical therapy, Victoria approached our house. Through our security camera, I watched her enter Sophia's studio. She stayed for 10 minutes, and when she left, she was smiling. When Sophia returned and went to her studio, her scream brought me running. Inside I found disaster. Her canvases were slashed, paint bottles emptied onto the floor, and her specialized adaptive art tools broken. On the wall where her mural had been, someone had spray painted, "Follow the rules." Sophia was inconsolable. "I can't do this anymore, Dad," she sobbed. "Please, let's just move." Something broke inside me. Not my daughter's spirit. Not her dreams. The HOA meeting was scheduled for the following evening. I spent the day gathering evidence. Our security footage showing Victoria entering the studio, testimonies from neighbors who had seen her, and photographs of the destruction. At the meeting, Victoria acted surprised when I presented the allegations. "You have no proof I did anything," she said confidently. "And frankly, I think you damaged your own property to frame me." Then I played the security footage. The room fell silent as we watched Victoria enter the studio, then leave with a satisfied smirk. Next came the testimonies. Neighbor after neighbor stood up, sharing their experiences of Victoria's bullying and selective enforcement. Last came the financial records I had requested. With the help of an accountant friend, I discovered Victoria had been misappropriating HOA funds for years, using them for personal expenses and her business. "This is slander," Victoria shouted, face red with anger. "You'll regret this." The board voted unanimously to remove Victoria as president and launch an investigation into the financial irregularities. As we left the meeting, Victoria approached us in the parking lot. "You think you've won?" she hissed. "This isn't over. Your little crippled artist's career is finished before it even starts." What Victoria didn't know was that Sophia was recording the conversation on her phone. The slur was the final piece of evidence we needed. 3 days after the meeting, I was at work when I received a terrifying call from our neighbor, Mrs. Patel. "Come home now. There's been a terrible incident." I raced home to find police cars and an ambulance parked outside our house. My heart nearly stopped when I saw paramedics wheeling Sophia on a stretcher, her face covered in blood. "What happened?" I cried, rushing to her side. Mrs. Patel was shaking. It was Victoria. She came with a flare gun. Sophia was in her studio working on a new painting when Victoria started shooting flares through the window. She fired 12 times directly at Sophia's head. The police officer confirmed the story. Multiple witnesses saw Mrs. Harmon firing what appeared to be a marine flare gun repeatedly into the studio. One flare hit the ceiling and started a fire. Others ricocheted around the room. Sophia had been hit by flying debris and suffered severe burns on her face and arms. The doctors later told me she had turned her head at the last second, or she would have been killed instantly. I rode in the ambulance, holding Sophia's hand as she drifted in and out of consciousness. "Dad," she whispered. She said I deserved to burn like my paintings. Sophia spent 2 weeks in the intensive care unit. The first 3 days were the worst. The doctors weren't sure if she would make it. Burns covered 30% of her body, and she had suffered a traumatic head injury from falling debris. Victoria was arrested at the scene, still holding the flare gun and screaming that she was enforcing the rules. The police found a notebook in her car with detailed plans for the attack and a list of other neighbors she planned to punish. News of the attack spread quickly through the community and beyond. People we had never met sent cards, gifts, and donations to help with Sophia's medical expenses. Local artists organized an auction to raise funds for her recovery. After a month, Sophia was finally released from the hospital. Her beautiful face was scarred and she would need more surgeries, but she was alive. The doctors said her quick thinking, using her art easel as a shield, had saved her life. Victoria faced multiple felony charges: attempted murder, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, arson, and hate crimes against a person with a disability. Her husband filed for divorce and made a public apology to our family. While Sophia recovered at home, something remarkable happened. The community transformed our garage into a new, safer studio with bulletproof windows and a security system. Professional artists volunteered to teach her new techniques that would accommodate her limited mobility as she recovered. The first day Sophia felt strong enough to paint again was one of the most emotional moments of my life. Her hands were still bandaged and she winced with every movement, but the spark in her eyes had returned. "I'm not going to let her win, Dad," she said firmly. "Not now, not ever." 6 months later, Victoria's trial began. Sophia insisted on testifying, facing her attacker with quiet dignity. Despite Victoria's lawyer's claims of mental illness, the jury found her guilty on all counts. The judge, noting the premeditated nature of the attack and Victoria's history of harassment, sentenced her to 20 years in prison. As we left the courthouse, a reporter asked Sophia how she felt about the verdict. I don't hate her, Sophia said, surprising everyone. I pity her. She was so consumed by rules and control that she forgot about humanity. My new artwork is about finding beauty after destruction. About healing. Sophia's journey to recovery was long and difficult. There were nights when she woke up screaming, reliving the attack. Days when the pain from her burns and scars was almost unbearable. But slowly she began to heal, both physically and emotionally. A year after the attack, Sophia held her first art exhibition. The centerpiece was a haunting but hopeful painting titled 12 Fires, depicting burning flares transforming into stars, lighting a path forward. Art critics called it a powerful statement on resilience and transformation. Her work caught the attention of a prestigious art school, which offered her a full scholarship. In her acceptance speech, Sophia said, "Sometimes the people who try to destroy you become the reason you build something even more beautiful." Today, 3 years later, Sophia teaches art therapy to trauma survivors. Her studio, rebuilt and expanded with donations from around the country, has become a healing space for people who have faced violence and discrimination. As for Victoria, I heard she started a prison art program. Her lawyer sent us a letter saying she wanted to apologize in person, but Sophia isn't ready for that yet. Maybe someday. Sometimes, when I see Sophia working with her students, her face scarred but radiant with purpose, I think about how close we came to losing her. How one person's hatred nearly snuffed out such a beautiful light. But mostly I think about how that light now shines even brighter, illuminating paths for others who are struggling to find their way through darkness. Sophia keeps a small display case in her studio. Inside is the charred remains of her first easel, the one that saved her life when the flares came shooting through the window. Beside it is a small plaque with words she painted herself, "Create anyway." And she does. Every day.